A new dog with old tricks. Today on I just noticed the thumbnail. Down by the river. I love it.
Is he in a van
down by the
He's in a
river?
van.
You know what? There are vans in this game.
Fantastic.
I need one for the thumbnail. I'll redo the thumbnail of the van.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Press B to Cancel. I am joined by Jake and Chard tonight. How you guys doing?
Great.
I'm back. Feels good to be back. I feel like I've been gone for so long, but I haven't been. But I miss you guys.
And today we are going to be talking about Ruffy and the Riverside. As of recording this episode, the game released yesterday. And it came out on basically everything, right? It was on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. We were graciously given a review key for Steam. And so I have been playing that leading up to this so that we could talk about it in this episode tonight. I adore this game.
Oh, good.
I want to lead with that.
Good.
Now,
good.
I feel like I should specify it's just a review key. There were no strings attached. We were not paid for this. I wish, but
One day.
it was cool getting to play the game a week or two early. That was neat.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I only played a little tiny bit from the demo because this was something I saw in not the recent Steam Next Fest, but I think the one that was last year, I think. And I played a little bit of the demo, and I dug it.
Been out for a while.
Okay.
And I do want to, I don't want to jump too deep into the demo early on. I will talk about that a little later. But just know that the demo, it really disjoins what the game is.
Okay.
The game is a lot more cohesive and fluid than what the demo feeds you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did read that some people bounced off the demo, and that could be one of the reasons. And I'll get into that later. But for now, I want to talk about this game's inspirations, right? It looks like these old platformers from the late 90s, early 2000s. It's got its DNA from Tomba, Zelda, Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, all that
I was just
kind of
telling
stuff.
Jake before we started that this very much reminded me of like Banjo-Kazooie kind of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's very much a 3D platformer collectathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like a lot of objects are just sitting around for you to just happen upon. They're all puzzled out somehow.
Okay.
And so that's where this game's new mechanic comes from. Comes in rather. And I'm surprised it's a mechanic we've not seen in games before, the swap mechanic.
Yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
can constantly take a texture or a color from an object and apply it to other objects.
That's
Now
so cool.
it's not all completely interchangeable, but there's a lot of things like in this video that you're showing, you see the waterfall can become ivy. That's one of the first things you're shown in the game.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. I did find a couple waterfalls that don't become usable ivy, but
Right, because I saw somebody playing this earlier this week, and they took water from a river or something, and then they dropped it on the lava near a volcano, and it turns it into water, so it gets rid of the lava, like the texture swapping thing. So this is what I'm dubbing a Copypastavania. We're gonna trademark that term and keep it for ourselves.
I like that.
It's the first one of its kind. This is definitely a very unique feature. I have not seen any other game do that mechanic. It's really neat how they do it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the driving force behind this game, really. I mean, there's combat, but it's not a big part of the game. There's enemies hanging about. I've never once run out of health from enemies. Even a boss fight, I've not run out of health. If I had a fail state in any situation, it was because I fell in deep water that he can't swim out of, and he just immediately, "Wah!" and you get
Okay.
reset. So
Okay.
So this
I
is
do
not
think
like
that is the death or fail state, but I
okay.
don't know if for certain because I've never run out of health.
So even though like the world's very much called back to N64 3D platformers like Banjo, Mario 64, it may look like that at first glance, but the combat is nowhere near like those games. It's more of a puzzly game, right?
Very much so.
Okay.
It is 99% solving puzzles and exploring.
Okay.
There's
I
I mean, there's
I
only 3 boss fights in the game, and
okay.
I would say the second one was the hardest, and the first and third were pretty easy and, like, not the biggest challenge at all.
I love this artwork. I love this
Yeah.
design. It's very Paper Mario with the
Yes.
2D look in the 3D realm, and I love how they play with that, like, to certain extents where they can I saw a boss fight where it might have been a boss fight where it looked like you went into, like, a 2D look, so it was a side scroller, and then it pulls you out into, like, a more of a 3D type, the 3D Banjo-Kazooie type
Yeah,
world.
those so I wanna explain something about those 2D segments. They very much reminded me of Mario Odyssey, first off.
Hmm.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Um, but to get into those 2D murals to play in those, and I do love that the fact when you jump into those, it goes into, like, an 8-bit Game Boy-ish sounding music.
Nice.
Um, but to get into those murals, you have to solve a riddle.
Okay.
And then so you're given a riddle with a bunch of little rune tiles,
Mhm.
and they usually represent a number of some sort. And then you have to put them in the order or placement that the riddle implies using the swap mechanic. And then it'll open up the portal to get into that little wall mural. And then those wall murals usually reveal or release an item of some sort. Sometimes the butterfly collectibles, or sometimes I think there was an area where it was messages in a bottle for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the Police. That's a great band.
Now, what you're seeing on the screen here, I want to call out real quick, is Grohl. He's the big bad of the game. He's essentially a giant Rubik's Cube.
Oh,
It does
I was
not
like, the
look like a
mole?
Rubik's cube.
Well, it's black right now, but when he's got his colors, there's the green side, the orange
Okay.
side, the red side, the white side, the yellow side, the blue side. He's a Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
Okay. He's the reason everything's in 3D. He's trying to promote
No,
his
he's
3DS agenda to all the 2D people.
once he's released into the world, he starts stealing the color from the world. It's kind of wild.
Oh, alright.
Oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah, I definitely dig the graphical style. Like I'm with Chard. I do like how all the characters are Paper Mario style. It's
Yeah,
lower frame rate, as if it's hand drawn, but there's still quite a
Mhm.
number of frames in the animations when they're talking and animating and moving around. It's pretty cute. So it's
yeah.
definitely got a style it's clinging to.
I couldn't find information on it. I maybe didn't dig well enough, but I couldn't find information on it. They look hand drawn and hand painted because when you see, like, on the title screen, you've got Ruffy just standing there flinging his hands around, dancing a little,
Right.
and every single frame of animation it looks like was colored separately. It wasn't. It
Right.
doesn't look like it was, taken from the previous one and adjusted the frame. So I'm guessing they're all hand painted as well.
That's cool. If that's the
And
case, that is really unique. I really think that's cool.
there's even a little Easter egg room near the beginning of the game that you can find your way into, and inside it says, like, there's a little noted, like, nod to Mario. It says Paper M, and then the Tomba, because it's like it shows Tomba's eyes, and it says Tom B, which
Right.
outside of the US, outside of North America, I think that's what the game was called, was Tombi.
Okay.
And then there's also like a Majora's Mask sort of heart.
That's awesome.
And then Banjo was here, I think, was another one.
Okay.
That's
So,
that's
I
pretty
mean, those are
cute.
very clearly the inspirations.
Right.
Like they definitely wear their influences on their sleeve, right? I saw that the stamina meter is a circle, very much like Breath of the Wild uses, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you said, the 2D segments are very much inspired by Mario Odyssey. I think that's pretty cool. I like how they do their own spin on it though, like with the Game Boy style and the music change. That's really interesting. So that's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
And even those, like once you've figured out how to get into them, you have to solve a puzzle before you can actually run through it. So you
Okay.
have to figure out what you need to adjust and change in those murals so that you can properly go in and traverse it without getting knocked out.
Gotcha.
So you might have to like one of them that's early on, I'll give it away because it's real early. There's this tree that wants to punch you, right? And he's in a pool of water. Well, you
As
change
a
that
tree
to
does.
lava, it burns the tree down. You change it back to water so that Ruffy can jump in the wall and then run through the water, not getting hurt, and then grab the butterfly at the end of it.
Okay. These are some cool puzzles. Like, is the mural stuff like is it? I don't want to say bonus content because it's not bonus content,
No,
but
you
like
just happen upon them. I want to say
okay,
there's maybe 6 or 7. No, maybe like 8 or 9 wall murals because
mm.
one section has a couple of them that are not for collectibles, but just to advance through that part of the plot because you get stranded on a desert island.
So can you explain a bit the structure of the game then? Like, is it? I don't want to keep going back to Mario 64, but like, is there a hub world and side worlds that you go into? Like, how long is this game and how many worlds are there? Or is it just open
Okay,
concept thing?
so I've beaten it. I have 15.9 hours in Steam on this game.
Okay.
And it's the demo would have you think that you're collecting stars to open up new hub doors, right? Like Mario 64. No, you're not doing any of that.
Okay.
There are no star collectibles in this game. There's no doors that get opened from that. It's one big, well, not one big open world, but it's an open world. There's a couple of doorways off of that main hub that go to other areas. But for the most
Okay.
part, you're in this big overworld area with little areas that are offshoots that you get access to as you progress based on either plot or puzzle solving.
God, this looks
And
cool.
so, yeah, it really is, and it has a lot of different stuff going on. So early on, I will say the puzzles are a little tedious because they're all pretty simple early on.
Okay.
Um, but I think that's to give the player a good handle of the swap mechanic. Because by
Right.
late game, you're doing the swap mechanic real quick, just boom, boom, get this thing done. You're doing it in the
Right.
middle of boss fights,
Right.
so it's getting you used to being able to do this on the fly. And so
Is
I
there
give it a pass for that.
is there an openness to how you tackle the puzzles? Because you can technically swap any texture, any first surface you see, right? Is there any interplay with
N-
like use like not Breath of the Wild, but like is there different ways to do a puzzle? I guess.
no. So
Okay.
there's different types of puzzles. Let's start with one you'll find early on called the game refers to them as pattern potatoes, where it's um it looks like it has a little sun on it. So like a dot in the middle and lines going out from the dot. So it's
Mhm.
9 little pictures and you'll find a mural somewhere nearby that shows what you need to transform that image into. So the first one I think you come across, you just got to change the bottom row to horizontal lines. Now it looks like a sunrise. Now the pattern potato comes out of the ground. You're given a dreamstone for solving it.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's those. Um, there's sometimes you'll find just 9 boxes chilling around, and you'll see somewhere on a wall nearby. Again, this is why the tedium, because they do a lot of the wall nearby thing early on.
Okay.
Those boxes, you'll see a pattern of 9 boxes on a wall somewhere, less than 9, because that's the pattern you want to make them into. So you change them from stone to wood, break the ones you need to break. Now you've got the right shape. You've solved that. You get in a toy, which is the little furball guys. They
Okay.
look kinda like the Tribbles from Star Trek, right?
Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Which is funny because Ruffy looks like an Ewok with pointy cat ears,
Yeah.
right? It's pretty
I
He's a
interesting.
I
bear.
is
He's
that
not a
a bear
bear.
with a
Get out of
hood?
here. That's a bear.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
Jake
bears.
apparently takes offense to that being
Yeah,
a bear.
that's an Ewok, but
I
that's
I
fine.
I personally love that his face is just eyes and a mouth, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're
I mean,
so big, there's no room for even just the fur because he's all eyes and mouth.
the copy and paste Vania on the forest planet of Endor. I mean,
But yeah,
that makes the perfect sense.
Yeah.
there are puzzles that are a little less obvious, and so you just kind of tinker with things and solve it. Like I was just running along a board there on the ground, and if you look way up, you'll see there's a magnet above it that's
Yeah.
made of stone.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so you have to turn both of them into metal so that the magnet is actually a magnet and the wood plank gets sucked up and then you can hit the
Okay.
button underneath the plank.
That's
So
cool.
there's different
Okay.
things like that. There's that bully shark that I just ran past there in the video as well. Um, there's a few of those hidden around. Apparently, this was supposed to be like the first or second one you defeat. It was the last one I defeated. I couldn't figure out how to beat him because most of the bully
Okay.
sharks you have to transform the pool of water they're in into something else to either freeze them or burn them or whatever. But that
Right.
one hovers, and I was like, I can't do anything to him. Once I figured out how to beat him, I got to go up and talk to the leader of the fish people, and he was like, "Take out all the bully sharks for me, please."
It's like done and done.
All
Yeah,
right.
did it
There you go.
already.
Okay.
I love how Ruffy's character when you look at him, like when he's his idle stance looks very much like a 1950s Disney character. He's just snapping his fingers,
Yeah, he's just having a
doing his
grand
thing.
old time,
He's just having
snapping
the
his
best day of
fingers,
his
grooving
life.
to the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. This Rubik's Cube's
They're
destroying my world, but you know what? I ain't gonna let it get me down.
Ruffy and his little bee partner Pip are just
Yeah.
the most upbeat, positive characters in the world. And
I could take a cue from Ruffy these days.
most
We
of
could
the
all take a
time
cue
it's
from Ruffy.
fine. There was one point that it was a little excessive, and that's why I say the characters are canonically naive.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
But even then, like it fit the characters that you're given. So you're like, okay, I can see why they're doing this. But as the player, I'm like, I don't agree with what we're doing here.
I have a strong feeling about this whole thing.
Yeah, and of course it immediately backfires, but they were
Right, yeah, of
trying to be
course.
positive and give this person the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, there's so much to this game. It's a lot bigger than I expected.
Okay.
And it's got different sections. Like um there's a mountaintop you go to, you explore caves. There's a lost woods kind of section where you
Mhm.
have to sometimes swap to figure out the way to go.
Okay. So like that
Yeah.
repeating maze if you get lost type mechanic?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that's
did have
awesome.
I did mess it up once or twice to where it sent me back to the beginning, and I was like, "Got to do it
Okay.
again." But that's
Right.
cool that it was there. It also does. There's these. They call them marbles, I think. But essentially, what they do is they glow energy and like they pulsate this energy, and when they do the pulsations, it changes the world just around them to
Mhm.
something different, and so you'll need to use those to swap the area around you.
We kinda saw that at the
Interesting.
beginning, yeah, at the beginning of the video, there was kinda like a area of effect crystal or something that it was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alright.
So
I like
there's
these puzzles. This seems kinda cool.
the as you progress. Oh, there's also mini games
Hmm,
uh, that use hay bales, and the hay bales are essentially like a skateboard analog in this game. And so the first time you do it, this game does a really good job of teaching you how to do a puzzle, so that way you understand how to do the puzzles later, right?
okay.
And for the hay bale mini games, the first mini game you come across, they're like, okay, you have to beat. There's 5 guys to beat on this race course, the 5 fellas. And the guy straight up tells you when you're signing up, he's like, they're really fast. They've got tricked out hay bales. You're going to want to cheat.
Okay.
So, in order for you to cheat and have a chance against these guys, you're going to want to run around and activate all the speed booster pads on the race course so that you can keep up. So, that's the first thing you're told is cheat, right? The
Okay.
next time you get to a hay bale mini game, you're not reminded up front. You're reminded after
Right.
you fail once or twice.
Okay.
And then it's like, okay, I have to go alter the race course here to my benefit.
Right.
And then later there's another hay bale mini game. And I tried it 4 or 5 times. I'm not going to give away the solution here because I don't want to do that, but it was really
Mhm.
clever. I was trying and trying, and I just could not beat the score I needed to beat because
Oh,
it's a
that's
half pipe mini game.
in
And then I
the words
realized,
of
oh,
Sinistar, that's apropos of Chrono
I
Trigger
was
and
like, okay,
the race
there's a
car.
way to cheat. And I didn't even realize it. And the game didn't just outright tell you this time. I
Oh,
had to
nice.
figure out how to cheat this time. So it
Wow.
set a precedent and kept
Yeah.
it going. I love that.
When the
Well,
game is
that's
trying to make you cheat, that's it's
but
questionable ethics there, guys.
well, sure, but it's also it's how you do good game design, right? You show
Yeah.
a mechanic, you demonstrate it, and then you have to use that as a player as a building block to harder and more twisted versions of the mechanic. That's what Mario does,
Yeah.
right? That's what Nintendo's famous
And
for.
for the pattern potatoes, the first time you come across it, there's a whole like cave wall just brandishing this massive mural with instructions on how to do the first pattern potato. So that way you know how to do it in the future.
Hmm. So would you say
There you go.
there's a bit of hand holding? Is it like an intermediate puzzle kind of thing? Or like what would you say? Like
I
for
would
somebody that's
say
kind of into these sorts of things.
early on it feels like there is a little too much hand holding, and sometimes that
Okay.
just comes in the form of a little too much dialogue.
Okay.
Right.
But given what the game was going for, like this is a super kid friendly game.
Okay.
So it's very family friendly. I understand why it did so much hand holding at the beginning so that any kid could pick up this game and successfully finish it.
Hmm.
So it's really good, but it's also like not so slow and dull. Like, a good example of a really slow kids game is Yoshi's Woolly World or whatever it was, right?
Right.
For the
Mhm.
Switch.
Okay.
That game is just painfully slow and dull and, very accessible to children, but even my
Right.
kid got bored of it. It
Right.
was too slow.
Right.
Right.
So this does not do that to you. It's constantly got stuff to just find and do that's you don't have to. And then
Okay.
there's the main plot stuff that you do have to overcome, and it does a good job of teaching you how to overcome that.
Okay.
So like a lot of these like the pattern potato puzzles and the block puzzles and all that are for finding extra stuff. You don't have to do those.
Okay.
But uh for a lot of the rewards you come across, you get an item called a dream stone, which actually lets you alter in-game textures.
Okay.
So
Oh, I saw
it
that.
gives you variants of like 8 by 8, 16 by 16, or 32 by 32 pixel variants of
Oh,
these
okay.
textures. You can also edit your own textures in.
Wow. Okay.
Is it
So
just
That's
you
a
can
clever.
cosmetic
change those
fun thing, or is
textures.
it like a
Yeah,
mechanical
it's
thing as
just
well?
cosmetic fun.
Cosmetic?
Okay.
Okay. It's really neat though.
Yep.
I like that.
And it's introduced to you by a character named Pix, who looks like Ruffy, but if he were a 16-bit Super NES character, right?
That's
So
neat.
he's all
That's neat. Yeah.
pixelated,
Yeah.
and that's his gimmick. In his little area of the world, everything is cubic, and
That's fun. This
it
has a
is.
lot of really cool nostalgia connections to it.
Yeah, and
Being heavy retro gamers like we are, this is definitely something that's very close to home. Somebody did their
mhm.
homework who did this game, and they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, and there's even some things where I had to get creative to think about how to be able to use the swap mechanic in certain places. There
Mm,
was one where there was metal nowhere nearby, but I needed to swap metal onto an object. I was
mhm,
like, there's no way I'm going to be able to swap metal from way over there to here before the timer runs out.
'kay.
And then, so I don't know if you guys want me to give it away. You can swap your hay bale that you roll around on into other materials.
Oh,
That
okay, and
makes
it holds
sense.
That
it
I could
for
see
changed
that.
the game
Yeah,
for
okay,
me
Yeah.
for
that's a
that puzzle.
big change. Okay.
So
So you can make it
Okay, so you
stone if
have a
you
time
wanted to,
limit.
so it runs faster
you can make
downhill.
it
Yeah.
Okay.
no, it doesn't change its mechanics at all.
Oh,
It
Okay.
gives you a little texture to run around with, so you can make it stone or metal or wood.
Okay.
oh, wow.
so you can take something with you.
Okay.
Sometimes
Oh,
you'll
I
see
see. So you
trees
can
that are
save a
wiggling.
texture on it, is what it is. Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
you constantly have that texture with you.
Okay.
There's sometimes you'll see trees wiggling. If you change them from instead of being wood to stone or metal or whatever, then one of those little fur balls falls out. And he's like, "Hey, you found me. You're smarter than you look."
Oh wow.
They're
Thank you.
all little assholes like that, which
I was
I
gonna
think is
say
kind of funny.
it seemed very pleasant out there in
Okay, so
indoor.
you'd mentioned the demo. It was stars you're collecting to kind of open things, but in the full game that came out, what is the overall thing you're collecting to unlock the rest of the like progress?
Right.
There's really not. So there's plot devices. The plot MacGuffins are the sacred letters.
Okay,
Really called
Because
plot MacGuffins?
no, that's just what
Oh,
I'm calling them.
okay.
it's a scientific
They're called
term,
sacred
please.
This
letters.
is made for Wulff, if that's the freaking name of it. This was made with his name on it.
It's essentially the Hollywood sign over the city. You need to fix it because
Okay.
it
Okay,
says Riverside.
Right.
So you need to go collect the 7 letters to fix the sign to heal the world core after the big Rubik's Cube guy, Grohl, goes and destroys the sign
Okay.
because that sign has now damaged the world core. To fix the world core, you need to fix the sign. That's the plot.
Okay.
So you're running around, you're being told where to go to find the next letter at the Basilica of Besties, is what they call it.
the Basilica of Besties.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Cute.
I'm gonna steal
That
that
is
name.
the holy church that they use to send you on your mission with a wheel of fortune that spins and tells you where to go next. It's
Okay.
all very silly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I dig it. I dig the vibe of this game a lot. Like when I
Heck
played the
yeah.
demo, I wasn't sure. I liked what they were trying to do with the style of it, but it felt a little hitchy. But watching your
Yeah.
gameplay now, it seems to be a lot more fluid than the demo was. It seems to be a lot more cohesive, which I mean makes sense. I definitely like the family friendly vibe to it. Like I think I might get my kids to play this game. Is
Yeah.
the overall story? I mean, I know it's cheesy and it's fun, but is it a decent story, consistent through the whole game, or
It's mostly consistent. It seems like there was a point where Ruffy was talking about Grohl in a manner as though he had had more run-ins with him than he had, and like maybe
okay,
there was a boss fight that didn't come to fruition or a story point that didn't actually make it into the final game or something.
okay,
Mhm.
But for the most part, yeah, the game's plot is silly but charming. Um, and other than that one moment, I feel like the whole thing is cohesive.
Okay.
The ending, it was also silly, but I guess it fit, and it leaves room for DLC
Okay.
okay.
or
This
a
appears
sequel,
like a game that could have
given the success of the game.
yeah. This game definitely appears to have an extended life in front of it, like more to it.
I hope so. Like, I would love to see this game get DLC or a sequel. Either way.
Okay.
I look forward to what these guys do in the future. Zocrates Labs. This is their first outing, and it's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a German company. I want to say when I looked them up earlier, and it's
I
a
believe
small team.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was not a big team. It's like
yeah,
I know it's less than 30 or 40 people, I think.
right. Okay, you said
And
15 hours to beat it.
Slithia.
Hey,
I love
Slithia
yeah,
is a
Slithia.
good name
I love the
for a
names
snake-like creature.
for a snake.
Yeah.
I love it.
So her puzzles have you moving those boards up and down to align the snake, and then you've solved that. And there's 7 of those puzzles. Once you
Yeah.
do that, you get access to a higher part of another area you've already been to.
I absolutely adore these graphics. I like the more that
Yes.
Jake is showing is makes me want to play more of this and try it out.
And
This is just so hitting that itch, that nostalgic itch
I
for me.
I do want to mention like the graphics, they're really charming and cute, but they're not demanding, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm playing this on my 1080 and it's running beautifully at 1440p.
Okay.
And
Did
then I
you
played a
did you
lot of
try
it
the
on
Steam
my
Deck?
Steam Deck too.
Great.
And the Steam Deck, that's what I was going to get to. The Steam Deck mostly ran at 60 frames per second with slight drops to 50 and then an even less lately, like even more rare drop to the 40s.
That's still
Okay.
pretty good for the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
And so
Okay.
usually that happened at loading times, right? It was loading that affected the frame rate more than in the actual gameplay did.
There's no load screens then? Is it like kind of seamless loading in the background as you play and that's
No,
where it's hitching?
there's I can think of maybe 4 or 5 doorways that are loading screens
Okay.
in the whole game. Like it's not a lot.
So you beat it in 15 hours. Is there like post game stuff or other collectibles? Like would you want to 100% this game? Like is there a lot of
I want
collectibles?
100% this.
Okay.
So there's a lot of collectibles. There's 30 toys, the little furball guys to find.
Right.
There's 30 dream stones to find. There's uh 15 pattern potatoes to solve. It tracks all this, right?
Right.
There's the 7 letters to find. There's 7 of those snake puzzles to solve.
Okay.
There's so much stuff. What else was there? There's 5 legendary gemstones to find for your mole friend. There's 6 pools get covered in like black ooze that you need to clean with the help of the little furball dudes. And so
That's
there's
right.
a
You
lot
save
to
them, put them
do.
to work. That's how it
Say.
works. Free labor. Go clean the oil slick up.
Free labor. Gotta love it. So there's no,
And
yeah, there's no
there's
shortage of stuff to do in this game. It definitely feels like
yeah,
there's a lot
there's
going on,
coins
which is
all
good.
over the place. I
Yeah.
also want to mention another likening to Zelda specifically is you start with 3 hearts. You can upgrade by buying heart containers for 250 a pop.
Okay.
Now, I was playing this early, so I don't know if they changed it, but while I was playing, I got up to 10 hearts and I was still able to buy more without getting more. So it was just letting me
Oh,
spend
okay.
the 250 gold, which was a
Okay.
Okay.
bummer.
That's a bit of a bug, yeah.
You can also find well, not find, you can buy 2 other cloaks, and that's because your cloak upgrade system is done via slot machine.
Oh, okay.
So the cloaks are 200 gold each. There's a red, you start with the green one, there's a red one and a blue one as well. And the reason they did that is because you absolutely do not need to upgrade these. It just makes quality of life better because they extend your stamina bar or make you heal up faster because it's self-healing
Okay.
factor.
Red, green, and blue
Um,
cloaks. So red, bleak, green, and blue tunics. Essentially, it's very
You
Zelda-y
would
to that.
think, right? But they all
Yeah.
start at 0, 0. The slot
Oh,
machine
okay.
is what increases their stats.
Oh, right.
So the first slot tells you whether it's going to upgrade your red, green, or blue cloak. The second slot
Okay.
tells you if it's going to upgrade the heart or the stamina.
Oh,
The
I
third
see.
slot tells you by how much 0, 1, or 2.
So
There's
you
a
could
0 on the
have
wheel. I never got it.
okay. So you could maybe then have 2 cloaks but give you a health bonus and or one that gives you a stamina bonus and the other one gives you health like it or you could like cuz it's random, right? Well, I'm assuming it's
It's
random with the slot
random, yeah.
machine.
So
Yeah,
essentially,
interesting.
like I was kind of hoping there was a point early on where the blue cloak was by far and away my best cloak. And then at
Right.
one point, the green just started dominating at the slot machine. So I ended up
Okay.
using that because it maxed out before the other 2. And
Gotcha.
then once the other 2 maxed out, I was like, okay, now I'm going to go blue because I want to I want to use some other colors. Played with
Right.
the red one for a little while just because.
Okay.
So it's nice. They're not necessary, but they do make the game easier.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like it doesn't look like a it doesn't look like hard in control wise or enemy fighting. It's more like the puzzles, right? Is the difficulties
Right.
like,
Yeah.
parts of the challenge of this game.
Looks like there's a lot of traversing to find what you need
Yeah.
to solve the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very much playing with the swap mechanic to figure out where to go, like how to solve this puzzle. And
So
some of them I thought I'm going to have to come back here later because I don't know what to do. And it
okay.
was literally there the whole time. I just didn't put 2 and 2 together at that point.
So besides the collectibles, is there anything else? Is there unlockable modes at all, or like a new game plus? I don't want to spoil anything with the ending, but is there something else after
Not
the
that I've
game?
seen.
Okay. Well,
But after beating the game, if you load up your file again, it loads you up after you've beaten the game at that same
okay.
point. It loads you up to where the last thing you do is go talk to someone to roll credits.
Okay.
So you'll have
So
your
that's your
cloaks and
last
stuff to
quest, but
get
you
the
can
last of
go
your
do all the
collectibles.
other stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. How much is this game?
I believe it's $20 US. Let me double check that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not bad.
$20. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's a
20
good deal.
bucks.
Yeah. Like
It's not
15 hours,
bad at
like
all.
between 10 to 15 hours, honestly, for me is my preferred length of a game these days. Like, I can't tell you how happy I was that Claire Obscure was only 30 because I don't have the stamina to go through a long game these days. Like I'm trying to get through Baldur's Gate 3 and I'm at 100 hours and I'm just ready for that game to be done right now. So I appreciate a 10 to 15 hour game, especially when it's got charm like this. $20 is a
Yeah, I
good
think this
good amount for
game
this.
Hell
perfect length, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all his little animations and everything, I absolutely adore the character designs in this. He does that little tornado spin every time he does something successfully and gives you a little peace sign.
It's really cool.
What a
The
great game for the
music in this
first game for a
game,
studio too, right? Like this is their first game. That's
yeah,
an awesome way to start your studio, just to have a great
Yeah.
hit out the gate.
Yeah.
the music in this game, some of it is extraordinarily catchy. And I mean, there's always going to be tracks that are like, it's just the background music. It's fine.
Yeah.
Your
Nothing
Mario
was grating or
RPGs.
obnoxious. No, nothing was
Listen.
that. Nothing was grating or
Listen,
obnoxious.
I appreciate a
It
good
was all
4-bar
at
melody
least
chart.
fine.
I'm sorry that you guys don't appreciate culture in video gaming, but
Culture.
glad the music here is decent.
But there were a couple of tracks that I absolutely adore, and I wish they had more presence in the game.
Okay.
Fair.
It's neat because there are games that have tried to do the 3D platforming or like the 3D mascot callbacks, right? The most recent one I played was Super Lucky's Tale, which got its start originally as an Oculus 3D VR game, and then they made a non VR version of it at some point, and they tried, but they didn't come close to nailing that formula of like the whimsy with the music and the style and the actual gameplay being fun. Never got close to what this is doing. Like this is pretty neat.
Yeah, I tried that one, and unfortunately, I found that one kind of dull.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I feel like they did more in this game than they needed to. And I don't just mean in terms of the amount of content. I also mean like it feels like they had designed the game to have more content or more combat than it did.
Right.
Because Ruffy can actually charge his attack. Um,
Oh.
there's a ground pound button, but I never had to use it.
It makes you wonder,
That's
like, I know this was in development for a number of years. They probably had a point where they had to release it, but it builds on a foundation where if this does well, and I hope it does, then they could do a sequel with more combat in it or more fleshed out, enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
As it is though, I kind of love the formula.
Yeah.
Especially as I got later in the game, trying to solve the last few puzzles that were actually difficult and tricky, and
Right.
find everything. I've been really, really enjoying that part of it.
That's good. Like too much of one thing, right? Too much of one thing could be a bad thing. So you keep it nice and
Yeah, and
and sparse in certain aspects.
in all fairness, the tedium could be entirely my fault. The early game tedium that I described, because I was going around trying to do. I didn't want to leave any puzzle behind, right? So
Right.
every time I came across a new puzzle, it was, how do I solve this? And so early on, that you're given a lot of those pattern potatoes, and you do 3 or 4 of those in a row, and it's like, well, this is pretty samey.
Yeah. Understandable. If you're chasing the same puzzle, then yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. I have a beef with a lot of games when it comes to the intros being kind of maybe more tutorialized or too drawn out than I wish they would, but I get why they do that, right? It's to get younger gamers
Right.
kind of into the flow and how to play. So it's not,
Right.
it would be the first game that does that.
I do want to mention one other thing that I thought was really funny. Um, so there's at the beginning of the game, when you're first introduced to these characters, they're on a piece of cliffside that is falling, right? Because the mole dug too much and it made this cliffside fall. They're all on this thing and panicking. And Pip, the little bee, is like, "Hey, Ruffy, use your swap mechanic to turn the waterfall into ivy." So that's how they introduce this to you. He jumps off that cliffside, grabs the ivy because it's not a waterfall anymore, and climbs to safety. He's fine. And then it goes 23 days and 7 hours earlier, or something like that, and takes you back and gives you a little more introduction to Riverside and flies around a little.
Okay.
And Pip meets up with Ruffy, and then you forget about that, right? But that moment with the cliffside does turn up later in the game
Nice.
in an unexpected way.
That's cool. I
Okay.
I
love
thought it was
callbacks.
gonna be I thought it was gonna be like, "Oh, this is what happened after the game ended, and this is, part of the fallout." No, it was not that. It was somewhere in the middle of the game, and it turned up in an unexpected way with unexpected results, and I appreciated it.
That's cool. I love when games do foreshadowing stuff and then you play so much you completely forget that it even happened, and then they
Yeah,
bring it right back at you. I love that stuff. That's so cool. All right, this is
Yeah.
going
but
on the wish
Yeah.
list now.
I do wanna mention one other thing that I like. Here's how much charm this game has. You're on the trek for these sacred letters, and at one point you're sent to the graveyard area. And when you get there, there's a ghost at his grave who's like, "Yeah, I got the letter right here and I don't much need it. It makes it difficult for me to sleep." So he's like, "But I'm not going to just give it to you. I'll trade it for you for your help. I want you to help me win the gravestone decorating competition this year.
Okay.
The
Why
judges will
would
be
you?
out here anytime. I need you to go check what the judges are looking for this year and come back and tell me so that I can fix it up."
Or
So
cheating.
there's like a little semi-stealth section where you're sneaking past some ghosts, and if you get caught in their little torchlight, you get sent back. And then you eavesdrop on the jury, and then you go help the ghost. And I just thought that was really cute. Like there's so
That's
much charm in this game.
Why would
okay.
you decorate your grave?
Why not? Why
Like we're
wouldn't
talking
you?
balloons and streamers, or just like flowers or something? Like what are we? What are we
Flowers.
putting up?
Yeah.
Flowers? Okay. All right. That's interesting.
Listen, if someone's not putting balloons and streamers on my grave, then I have done a poor job in life.
You're right. You know what? When I die, you
I'm
celebrate me
just
by
saying.
decorating my tombstone. I want a can of Pepsi on my tombstone,
Okay.
not Dr. P. Screw that
Engraved
stuff.
or just like a can? Like someone
You
brought a
say that
can.
like a joke, but I've seen a beer on a grave before,
I
like an
have too.
unopened beer just sitting there
I have
Sure.
too.
with some
Yeah.
I have too.
flowers. It
Yeah.
Okay.
happens.
Probably California thing.
You're right.
Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, right? We know best.
So I do really enjoy this game. I recommend it. I would give it at least an 80% personally.
Mm.
Yeah. What's this doing on
And
Open Critic right now? Is it like what's it at right
that's
now?
because like I rate it that high, not because it's the best game I've played, but it's cute, it's charming, it's fun,
It's fun. That's the idea,
yeah.
right?
and it respects the player's time to where it's not this long drawn out adventure. Like I said, there's a couple of dialogue points that I feel like got a little too many text boxes there. But
Right.
for the most part, it's really steady. It's really solid. The characters are written um, consistently,
Okay.
which I do think is important.
I mean, it's not
And
like
the story
life
is
changing
silly
like
enough
Flare
and great.
Obscura, but
Great.
it
No,
does the job. It does the job, and it makes
and
you finished it. Like you finished the game. That to me, it's not like you forced yourself through it. This isn't Final Fantasy VIII for
no,
charity.
I
This was
wanted to. I was
actually
like, I
enjoyable.
want to
Right.
finish this, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had such a great time with it. I cannot recommend this game enough,
That's awesome.
especially at the $20 price point, or currently because it's a fresh release, it's 10% off on Steam.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Like I can't tell you it's nice to play games like this when you have especially when you have kids or younger family, right? Like sometimes I struggle to find games I can play around my kids. I made the mistake of installing the Bluey game for my daughter. You want you want the total opposite of like how you do a game like this. You look at the Bluey video game, and I freaking love Bluey, but the game is a disaster. It's a trash fire. So I'm always looking
Yeah,
for
I
games I
heard
can
that.
play. But this looks like something that my daughter could sit there and play with me, or she could just run around and enjoy the graphics and the charm of it. Right? It is hard
Right.
to
Yeah.
nail that whimsy, that charm in a game like this. So I'm glad they pulled it off.
Right.
'Cause that is not easy to do.
That's cool.
There is, even if and it's not the most obvious thing, there's a little compass at the top of the screen. So if you're youngsters who don't care to read the story, they just want to play through the game. Once they're through all that story bit, there's a little exclamation point somewhere on the compass that'll point them in the direction they need to
The
go.
next way to
Oh,
go.
cool.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
great.
It's nice that this is like a I guess, multi-generational kind of game where people of our age in our, early mid
Yeah, this
40s or
took me
whatever.
back to, like I say,
Yeah.
Tomba, Klonoa, that sort of thing. It's
And
very
then
much that.
your children can enjoy it in the same level that you do. And while it
Yeah.
touches a
I
nostalgic piece for us, it's something new that could be their Sonic the Hedgehog, their Banjo Kazooie, their something, that of
yeah.
that caliber. And
And
I dig that.
now that I've beaten it, I'm like, I want my kid to play it. I want him to enjoy this because this was just
Nice.
fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
It
Oh,
comes
and
out at a good
I do
time
want to
too.
clarify
Yeah.
on PC, it controls really well either with a controller or mouse and keyboard.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Really?
I tried both
Okay.
and both were perfectly fine.
You don't get that kind of multi-control use. Usually it's one or the other. That's kind of cool that you can do either or. Because this looks
And it just hot
on the
swaps.
Steam Deck, this looks like the perfect I'm gonna lie in bed and play a game
Yeah.
kind of game. It's not I'm not looking anything deep. But I'm also trying to play something that's got a little bit more challenge to it than say, I don't know, Binding of Isaac, which is still challenging, but you don't play Isaac for the story, right? You play Isaac just to do some
Yeah.
runs.
The
So
thing with Isaac though is that's a game where mechanically I like it, but it doesn't have the charm for me, right? I can't stand that style.
it is a
So
certain kind of charm, that's for
Yes,
sure.
it's very
yeah,
a certain type of charm.
but not for me. So like
Yeah,
but it goes to show you how it's hard, I think, to nail that kind of charm and that kind of look. So and that style is a thing. So and you add that with
right.
like I'll say it again, Copypastavania. Like I've never seen something like this ever. That's really cool. Reminds me in some ways of how was it Scribble Knots? Like nobody's done another
Mm,
Scribble Knots. Nobody's tried to use that mechanic before. They did it so well, and this is very neat. And for the first game from the studio, if they ever do something like this, a sequel or an expansion of this, I'll be all in because this is very neat.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
agreed.
it's when you max out your armor, even the character there is like, you have already maxed everything out. You are as stylish as you can get. Maybe come back when there's DLC or something.
See,
So it's a little,
here's
there's some slight tongue in cheek sense of humor in
yeah.
this game too. I love it.
Here's my beef with games like this and Clear Obscura. This is the only drawback, like, and I know those two are a totally complete different ends of any kind of gaming spectrum. But in the sense of this is that the games are so good and they're so fun that you're like, I want another one now, or DLC, or it's more. I want more. I need more. Give me more. But there's small companies. They just released something. You got to wait. But I don't want to wait
Yeah.
anymore. I want to keep going. And you could replay it and everything. But you're like, but I seen all that. I want something else like this. Like, give me more of this. This is great. So it feels like we're eating kind of good with a lot of these smaller companies releasing this stuff lately. And I know Jake talks about like how the indie scene in a lot of these games are just a great place to go rummaging around in their stuff, and you are hard pressed not to find something that is this clever or this fascinating.
And like I can tell you, this game comes out at the perfect time, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't think it's Switch 2, but it's definitely a Switch game, and which mean it will work on Switch 2 and it'll probably run fantastic. But I know people who bought the Switch 2, they have Mario Kart. A lot of people are upset about the price of AAA games right now. And you have a game like this that is bite size, it's pretty good size, style, charm, fun, puzzles, and it's freaking $20. And like I think we're going to have over the next year, not just on Switch, but across the board,
Mhm.
players and gamers are going to be a little bit more of a backlash towards high price games. They're going to want more for that kind of money. And they're going to look at games that are $50, $20 again, like they were a couple years ago. I think we're going to have another mini boom in the popularity of indie games, which I'm all for, right? Like there's a lot of indie
Right.
titles coming out this year alone that I can't wait to play. And I'm like more excited for Ninja Gaiden than I am for, I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever the hell,
Ragebound.
Yeah.
I mean, we beat the hell out of Blueprints this year. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much cool
The
small
amount
title
of
names that are coming out.
indie
Yeah.
games I've fallen in love with this year is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
If it weren't
So,
for you guys, a lot of these games I probably would just glance over. I wouldn't even think about. Like Blueprints being a perfect example of a game that would hold no interest to me on a casual day had it
yeah.
not been touted. This is another one that I would probably just be like, all right, yeah, okay, it's kind of like Banjo Kazooie. But now watching you play it and actually seeing the gameplay and then having a description of it, it's on my wish list. Like, this sounds fun to play before I go to sleep at night. Just run
Yeah.
around and just do some stuff without there being like a lot of heavy titles. I've been playing with some stuff with too much heavy story in it. I need something that's very chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is a
Yeah, and
perfect example.
it's super like the dialogue, like I said, it's all just text boxes. It's not voice acted. But every
Yeah.
time somebody talks, they make a vocalization of some sort.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
it's
cool.
which is very in line with the old N64,
Yeah.
Banjo.
Banjo Kazooie,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
Your
Okay.
main character is like, "Hey, whoa, whoa,"
Okay.
or the mole. Every time you talk to him, he's like, ha ha." It's
Okay.
all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I like that. I like that.
Great. Anything else? I mean, it sounds like a positive game. What? Anything else to add for this one?
Um, no, there was just like there's so much to just find and do and just mess with. There were points where I was just not even doing anything to accomplish anything in the game. I was just goofing around. And I'm like, I'm gonna paint everything on the farm blue.
Why
That's
not?
what I did.
Sure.
I went to the
Why not?
farm area and I changed all the trees to blue. I changed all the buildings to blue, changed all the signs to blue.
That's cool. Okay.
I was like, how much can I paint here?
Really stretching the limits of the
And
game
then
there.
after I painted everything blue, I was like, all right, now all the wood's gonna be metal.
It's funny because like that's the kind of stuff I like doing in games, right? My favorite feature of Animal Crossing on the Switch years ago was that you can make your own tiles and just place them all around. So I was making my own custom paths and streets just for the hell of it. Just being able to edit the pixels and the art was fun. I like doing that kind of stuff.
I want to go to
Oh,
Jake's
I
Island and see a metropolis out there because it's going to look good after seeing what you build in Valheim.
That's pretty much what I do.
these
I miss Valheim.
the swap changes aren't persistent. I do want to point that out.
Right.
Okay,
If you leave an area and come back, everything will be back to its default state.
fair.
But
That makes
yeah,
sense.
That
I
makes
was just having
sense.
fun with it.
Yeah.
At one point, I turned the Riverside City courtyard into everything being lava or just fire and embers,
Why not?
just because I was curious.
Nice. I like that. That's funny.
So
Yeah.
there's plenty to do in this game. Lots to find, lots to discover, lots to just goof around with.
All right, cool. So that's Ruffy the Riverside. That's on Steam. That's on PS5, Switch, and Xbox, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 So literally
On all the
everything
major
that's
platforms.
out. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Good one.
With a glowing Wulff review.
Yep.
Glowing.
All right. You want to tell folks where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us at pressbtocancel.com. That links to our Discord, that links to our socials. You can join our Discord and tell us what you think of this game if you've been playing it, or if it if you've seen it and have questions or comments, share those too. You can also find us on Super Pod Network with a lot of other podcasters at superpodnetwork.com. And Jake, do you have any you want to call out there? I've not been
No.
listening to anything lately.
No. You know what? I was pretty bad with my podcast this week. I did go to the office yesterday, and I kind of just chilled the Claire Obscura soundtrack. That's been my background noise for a while. So I'm kind of been bad about the podcast listening.
God, it's so good.
I'm gonna try and catch
So
up. I will call out the usuals, Aaron and Jerry over at Superpod, And then Dave and Jiggy over at Remember 64, I usually check them out each week. And of course, Bill and Thrack over on the 3DO podcast experience. That's been good too. But there's a
Good
lot
show.
there. There's a lot of great shows over on that page to check out. Bar Silence does his shows about game soundtracks. Always great to listen to as well. So there's tons there to check out.
All
Nice.
righty. Well,
Oh,
thank you
Wulff,
guys for tuning in.
hold
Oh,
on.
what?
So
What?
you did a playthrough of this on your channel. Tell people where they can find
Yeah,
your
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
as well.
So I didn't play through the whole thing on my channel. I ended up just started playing it on like the Steam Deck and stuff to get an idea of that. A lot of stuff went down here at home. Just overwhelming, nothing
Yeah.
super duper bad. But so I stopped streaming it or recording it rather. But you can find that over on my Werewolf channel on YouTube. YouTube.com/@werewolfgames, I believe it is. Or Werewolf Gaming. I don't remember now. Crap.
This is bad advertising, you know? Like
Wow.
I think you're just Werewolf.
Oh,
At
it's
Werewolf.
just at Werewolf.
Yeah, you nailed it.
WAREWULFF.
There you
Let's
go.
go.
The original.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done that.
Guys, we need to start
Maybe
streaming
got, like,
again.
Streaming late. guys.
Flashbacks.
Getting these brands
We're
back
getting
up.
back to it. We're
Yeah.
we're coming back together. The band's getting
The
back
only
together.
reason I put these playthroughs on my channel is because I didn't want to bog down the podcast channel with a bunch of videos of Let's Plays. So that was the only
Okay.
reason.
Char, you want to show out your channel? Speaking of streaming, because you're gonna be starting up again soon, I believe.
Yeah.
No pressure?
I'm dusting off no pressure. I'm dusting off the keyboard and the mouse and the PS5 controller, and we're gonna stream tomorrow. We're gonna stream for the first time in several months. I don't want to call it a comeback just yet because there's a few loopholes that still need to be solved up. But I think the next 2 weekends, we're going to start. There's been an announcement that Blooper, who has done incredible work with Silent Hill Remake 2, not only is Chronos their next indie game coming out here in the next couple of months or so. There's no date yet, but they also announced that they're doing the Silent Hill 1 remake and redoing that.
Yeah.
So this has gotten a niche. So I'm going to play Silent Hill. We're actually going to boot up retro achievements just like old times and play some old retro PS1 Silent Hill. See if we can get some Chivos and sling some Advanced GG and good times. We're gonna have a fun weekend. So come and check me out tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon, wherever you're at. I'll post on my Discord and on the Press B Discord if anybody's interested. And you can come and hang out with me and we'll play some retro games. It'll be a good time.
Sinistar is also he's streaming on Sunday, right? It's an awareness charity stream, like a raid train that he's doing.
Yes.
Is that his DJ Spinistar channel?
It is. It will be on his DJ
Yes.
Spinistar channel,
Yes.
and I think he said noon his time, so that will be 11 Wulff and my time and 3 p.m. Eastern for the American.
We will bug him to post that on
that's-
Discord as well.
Yes,
I believe
definitely.
he said that was part of the Goths Against Fascism.
Yes,
Which
that's exactly that's what it's called.
it's an awesome cause if I've ever heard one. So especially these days,
Yeah.
so I think it's great. I know he did one. He was part of one before, and this is another version of that, and that's good.
Yeah,
so, and
this
spinning
is-
great music too.
It's like round 2 of the same thing. So go listen to some
I believe it's a
badass
different
new wave
charity,
and
but yeah.
gothic metal stuff with Sinistar and his raid group on Sunday, and you might see me on Sunday on Twitch as well, depending on if I
okay.
can slide in after all the time. We're doing a twofer, guys. We're going hot and heavy, and the next weekend I'll be back because I got a long weekend with the 4th of July, so I took an extra day off. So we'll have some.
Yeah, we are hopefully have an episode for next Friday. It is an American holiday, so we are going to try and pre-record something for folks, but we'll give you an update on Discord if that changes. But we'll try and do something.
Oh, it's happening. We got plans.
Okay.
Baby.
All right, well, we're going to try. It's, unfortunately for Canadians, our holiday's on a Tuesday randomly, so I have to work on a Monday, then get one day off in the middle of the week. That's ain't no work getting done on a Monday.
That's next week for us, actually. So don't feel bad. Yeah,
crazy.
We've got so many people taking Thursday off because that the 4th of July is kind of floating. It's like that where it'll land on a Wednesday, and everybody's like, you know what, we're going full bore. I just took the Monday off instead of the Thursday because everybody else took Thursday off. So it's gonna be a slow week at work. Tell you that right now.
All right, awesome.
All right.
This has been Press Me to Cancel. Thank you.
Oh.
You're the
Well,
host.
It's been a
yeah,
while.
I thought we had already kind of done that.
No. I can't
My
just
bad.
end it in the middle of a sentence.
I was like, hey,
Wow.
All right.
goodbye.